Hello, welcome again to my basement. I am Pastor Bill Hennessy, pastor of North Presbyterian Church in Williamsville, New York, and I am providing a little Bible study here each day while we observe this time of isolation as we continue to observe the shelter at home that has been mandated during the pandemic. Today is Friday, April 24th, and I'm going to look at the daily lectionary readings for today that can be found at the PCUSA website. That's pcusa.org, and you'll have to search daily lectionary readings to find the passages that I'm looking at. And I thought today, rather than look at some of the more prosaic pieces, I would look at the psalm, one of the psalms. Each day has 4 psalms, 2 for the morning, 2 for the evening. This is the first evening psalm. It's Psalm 49, and it's kind of an interesting piece that I'd like to share with you. Psalm 49. Hear this, all you peoples. Give ear, all inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak wisdom. The meditation of my heart shall be understanding. I will incline my ear to a proverb. I will solve my riddle to the music of the harp. Why should I fear in times of trouble, when the iniquity of my persecutors surrounds me, those who trust in their wealth and boast of the abundance of their riches? Truly no ransom avails for one's life. There is no price one can give to God for it. For the ransom of life is costly, and can never suffice, that one should live on forever and never see the grave. When we look at the wise, they die. Fool and dolt perish together, and leave their wealth to others. Their graves are their homes forever, their dwelling places to all generations, though they named lands their own. Mortals cannot abide in their pomp. They are like the animals that perish. Such is the fate of the foolhardy, the end of those who are pleased with their lot. Like sheep, they are appointed for Sheol. Death shall be their shepherd. Straight to the grave they descend, and their form shall waste away. Sheol shall be their home. But God will ransom my soul from the power of Sheol, for he will receive me. Do not be afraid when some become rich, when the wealth of their houses increases. For when they die, they will carry nothing away. Their wealth will not go down after them, though in their lifetime they count themselves happy. For you are praised when you do well for yourself. They will go down to the company of their ancestors, who will never again see the light. Mortals cannot abide in their pomp. They are like the animals that perish. That's a nice piece of wisdom literature, a good example in the Psalms of sort of proverbial sayings. And of course, the central message is that death is the great leveler. We all die, and no one can escape that. And you even perhaps noticed in the middle there, you can't take it with you. This is a writer who has come to the conclusion that a life spent in acquisition, in pursuing material success, is a life wasted, meaningless, because in the end, it doesn't matter. We're all going to die. This, of course, arises out of a context of sort of binary understanding of the world. This idea that blessings and wealth can be equated with goodness and God's favor, and poverty with God's disdain. And so that sort of honor and shame mentality is being questioned here. If you live your whole life for the sake of appearances, then what have you got really in the end? And this is sort of a pushing back against that idea. It's, I think, an important reminder for our own day. We live in such a materialist society and culture. There's so many things that tell us that what's really important is our wealth and our possessions. The value of a person is measured by their IRA or their stock portfolio, the kind of house that they have and where it's located. All these categories we put each other in. And there are certainly many studies that have been done that show that people who come from certain backgrounds or live in certain zip codes have advantages over others for the mere sake of those backgrounds and zip codes, and having nothing to do with their own inherent qualities. This psalm, again, pushes against that idea. There's a little bitterness in there, it seems to me. I think I'm hearing a little bit of maybe not envy, but just sort of a sense of maybe protesting a bit too much. This may be somebody who at one time really wanted to acquire that kind of wealth in their lives, but now is sort of seeing the limits of that. It reminds me a little of a play. Maybe you've heard of it, Harvey. I'm more familiar with the movie, Jimmy Stewart movie. Harvey is a 6-foot rabbit that is the companion of the main character, whose name I can't remember now, but he talks to this imaginary character, and spends a lot of his time just sort of wandering around town, being a nice guy, but kind of irresponsible and just sort of floating along. And at one point he has this conversation with a woman where he tells her that his mother told him, in this life you have to be either oh so clever, or oh so pleasant. He said, I spent most of my life being clever, and I recommend the other. Better to be a pleasant person. And you get this sense in this psalm, the philosophy that a life well lived is the best revenge is sort of at work there. So it's one I recommend to you. It's a nice psalm. It's comforting in some ways. I guess reassuring. This idea that mortals cannot abide in their pomp. That is, we can't go on forever living in ways that are ostentatious and self-important. Ultimately, we all perish. They are like the animals that perish. But God can at least ransom our souls. We aren't necessarily bound for destruction. So it's a nice piece that is worth exploring. So I'm going to leave you with that today. This is a short study, I know, today, but enjoy that psalm, Psalm 49. Take some time with it and pull it apart a little bit. You'll see in there, I think, a lot of wisdom for our own day, for our time and our circumstances now. I will be back on Monday, April 27th. So until then, I hope you have a good and safe weekend, and that you find a sense of peace in your own life as you ponder what's really important. Be well.